Hey everybody, I'm Oakley at Oakley Does Everything.
And I'm CocoaSugar Cosplay.
And this is Maker's Market. Stay tuned. Can you hear me at all?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. That's awesome.
Okay, perfect.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, of course. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. Well, Coco Sugar, welcome to Maker's Market. Again, I appreciate you doing this. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself.
Okay, well, hi. I'm CocoaSugar Cosplay. I am a East Coast, specifically Central PA based cosplayer. I've been cosplaying since 2008, so I'm dating myself. But I like to learn as much as I can as I cosplay and really just embrace the whole making aspect of it. So a lot of my cosplays are more sewing focused, but honestly, any cosplay that allows me to learn a new skill is a good thing.
That's awesome because that's awesome to hear because that's right up my alley. I'm a maker through and through. I love doing all kinds of things, and for me personally, if I'm doing the same thing like more than once, it does get a little like a little boring for me. So that I enjoy hearing other people being excited to take on new challenges or stuff like that. So that's really cool to hear. You have some pretty awesome stuff like uh I want to know right off the bat, like, how did you get into it, and like, how did your development of your stuff kind of go throughout the years? I guess since you've been doing it since 2008.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I don't know if my family's just weird or like whatever. I mean, I think they're great, but uh ever since I was a kid, like it was just kind of normal for us to like dress up for things, put on a costume, not just for Halloween, but like for fun. And I grew up kind of being very interested in arts. I studied art in school, um, and just really kind of had a thirst for knowledge as it came for the arts and crafting in general. And I say we, my sister and I attended our first convention in 2007. And, I had been into anime, I like fantasy novels, I like video games, the whole gamut of nerddom, if you want to put that
Yeah.
in a thing. But we attended our first convention, and I had heard of cosplay, like, but I hadn't really seen it in action. And when we went there, there were so many cosplayers. We got all excited, like seeing our favorite characters like brought to life and everything. And we were just like, okay, next year we're doing this. And we did it the next year. We never stopped. As far as my own journey, I mean, it honestly started off like I would thrift things and then like alter them. I didn't know much about sewing really at all, and everything I've learned has kind of been self-taught or trial and error. And then as time went on, got more confident in things, branched out to learn other things, started making things from scratch, started trying to pattern my own things, started trying to incorporate new techniques like stretch fabrics, which are a lot of fun and now are like my favorite thing to use, or working with EVA foam, or I just got an airbrush not too long ago, so that's an exciting thing. So just honestly, these days I see something, I get inspired by it, and it goes on my very, very long cosplay list, and I slowly chip away at it over time.
Yeah, I know what it's like. You have aspirations to do all kinds of things, and then the list just goes on and on and on, right? One of the
Honestly.
things on your list that I'm really excited for is um, Janai from
Oh,
the
Janai
Dragon
from
Prince.
Dragon Prince.
I think
Yes.
that was the first post I saw of you. I don't remember how I found it through like a hashtag or somebody else promoting it or something like that. And I went over there and then I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm following this person
Oh.
because there are not enough people that love the Dragon Prince, in my opinion.
I agree. It is a show that is slept on, and more people need to acknowledge how awesome it is.
It is so incredible, and like there, the storytelling, the inclusion, the like everything about it I love, and I want to do a gender bend Aunt Amaya or General Amaya.
Ooh,
I've been
cool.
wanting that's been on my list probably for about a year now. I've been wanting to cosplay her for a long time now. But yeah, the Dragon Prince is just amazing, and I really want to see that from you. It's awesome.
It's coming. Actually, Janai, like her wig is sitting like half constructed, like up in my craft room, and has been for a while. I hope to get to her this year. Originally, my goal was to potentially wear her for like Katsucon this year, or um, if not that, then perhaps the summer convention. So fingers crossed we can
Yeah.
have those again this year, later than maybe safely, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, since we're kind of talking about that, what have you been doing in the meantime since cons haven't been going on?
Well, I've been keeping busy actually. I last summer I had the opportunity to enter an online contest. I judged a contest, two contests
Wow,
actually.
nice.
And then, like I said, I've been chipping away at my cosplay list. Some of the things I have shared, and others I have had to keep kind of under wraps. There's something that I will be posting in the next week, actually. That's just kind of a fun thing, but that will be continuing throughout the year. I'm actually trying to gear up for another contest potentially. So I'm
Wow.
honestly just trying to keep busy. Of course, I lose motivation sometimes, like maybe around the holidays last year when it got cold, but ultimately, I think I've been keeping pretty busy. I just unveiled I just unveiled my no flutter Princess Tiana a couple weeks ago, which
Yeah.
was really fun to work on. I got to work with a group of girls. They were all so amazing and talented, and we did like a whole big princess group. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think you've done really well is your Princess Tiana or Tiana. I guess at this point, by the end of the movie, she is a princess, and and it's really cool to see the different iterations that you've done with that character. And I know that you've brought in or you've based some of them off of other people's designs, correct, or sketch and whatnot. So how does something like that work? Do you collaborate with them, or do you just find it and base it off of them? Like, or how? What's your process for that?
So the first one I did like that was Hannah Alexander's Sienna, and that was like a completed piece. So I was able to go off of that when I was creating my patterns and kind of base everything off of that look. But for the most recent Tiana design I did for No Flutter, we all worked off of sketches. We were originally again going to do this at Katsucon if it had happened, and we started like last year, like maybe around this time or shortly after. So, it was like here's the group. So the artist No Flutter was working on sketches for everybody. Some girls are still honestly only sketches at this point, and she's finishing the pieces as she goes throughout like her own Patreon schedule and all that
Yeah.
other good stuff. So for me, I actually was pretty lucky. Like my sketch ended up getting finished before we debuted the designs. It was a bit of a different process for me because I'm used to working with finished stuff. So some things were interpretive. I actually ended up like changing the bodice and like the way I did it like 3 times and adding more and more embellishments as time went on. But I think I learned a lot, and we're actually going to try maybe something else. So um, I it's a fun process. It's just different from when you're working with something finished. You have to be a bit more flexible with it. And Jen, No Flutter, she is so collaborative. Like if you have an idea or if you're working on something, you're like, I'm not sure if this was your vision. Like, can we talk about it? Like that process was great. Like I was able to contact her when I had an idea for the crown. Like I want to go really extra with this, so that she was like, yeah, go for it. So
That's
it
awesome.
was it was a great process.
Good. And so she reached out to you for like to be a certain character then, or did you reach out to her saying, hey, like I know you're doing these kind of things? Like what was the communication to get it started like?
Yeah, actually it was a referral, actually,
Oh,
or believe it or not. They had done, I had seen their like Sailor Moon fairy group at Katsucon like last time we had it, like
yeah,
2019, I guess.
yeah,
But I had seen it in person. I was like, wow, this is gorgeous, this is beautiful. And I followed the artists and I followed all the cosplayers and everything. Um, but a mutual friend had been in the group of people that were going to like run it again, and they were looking to do princesses, and she knew my Tiana, so she was like, "Hey, would you be interested?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
nice.
So definitely, it's one of those things where I feel like if I had been like, oh, like, is there anything else available? Like, that would have been an option. So it's not like I was shoehorned into only being Tiana, but I love Tiana, so I was happy to portray her. So
Right. 'Cause you had done a couple different versions of Tiana before that, correct?
yeah, I think I've done like three now. I've done Hannah Alexander's Tiana. I've done like the classic like movie ball gown. I
Yeah.
did the Wreck-It Ralph pajama version because I like
Oh,
to be
okay.
comfortable on Sundays.
I got
And and then this one just recently.
Is that from the scene where uh from Ralph Breaks the Internet where the little,
Yeah.
yeah, she meets all the princesses or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. And they're
I
all like in those
see.
comfy clothes.
Yeah. Because I saw that and I'm like, I don't remember this from the movie, but it's from Wreck-It Ralph. Okay. That is awesome. I love that. I love it when people find like the little things that, might have been in a movie for like 10 seconds and you never see it again. I love adaptations of that. I love seeing people cosplay that because it's just so niche, right?
Honestly, you're right. And like I feel like when you're at a con and you see one of those, like you connect and like you get really
Yeah.
excited. Like, what con was I at where like, oh my gosh, is it the History Channel? Like that ancient aliens guy who's like aliens, like the meme. Like
Yeah,
someone was doing that and it was really funny. And like I swear the guy had like a line for photos because he literally looked like the guy. It
that's
was perfect.
awesome. Yeah, no, those are always fun. Awesome.
That's better?
Yeah, that's great. Cool.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
I love how cozy you are, by the way.
This is my standard work position. This is like where I work now and I have for the last year on my couch.
So, well, let me backtrack to something you said earlier. I know talking about keeping busy during the pandemic and quarantine and stuff like that. And you said you're judging, you're still making stuff. A lot of people that I've talked to, some people started their hobbies and are very motivated to do it because they've been in quarantine. And other people that have had hobbies before the quarantine now, like cosplayers, for example, they are doing less cosplaying or making because they don't have anything to work towards.
Mm.
And so you're saying you're more of the I'm gonna keep making stuff anyways and whittling away at my cosplay list. What has kept you motivated to keep doing that?
Well, I think for me, the driving factor in why I do this is not necessarily to go to a con, even though I love going to cons and they make me very happy. But my primary motivator in cosplaying is to like make stuff. So even if cons aren't happening, for me, I'm still somewhat motivated because I just like making things. I don't make them as fast because I don't have to crunch for cons anymore, but I still like to make them. I also like being able to absorb new knowledge and I like sharing knowledge with others. So being able to still share like techniques and tips or even just progress like online is still something that is motivating for me.
What have been some of the things that you really enjoyed making? Like maybe your favorite prop, or maybe something you do more regularly that you actually find a lot of enjoyment out of doing.
I really like rhinestoning. It's such a weird thing, but actually as a hobby outside of my hobby of cosplay, I like to ballroom dance, and that's kind of how I got into like rhinestoning, and it actually let me practice a lot with stretch fabrics because I tried making some of my own costumes and stuff, and I really just got into it. Like, it's really just, I don't know, cathartic. Like, you're just there, you're just picking up a stone and you're putting it down and putting it down and putting it down. But like after like a while, you have this like gorgeous, like sparkly, beautiful thing. And um actually the first Hannah Alexander Tiana that I did had like tons and tons and tons of rhinestones on it, and that's when I really like realized that I actually like it. I feel like you had to, because if you hated it, like that would have been like a really tough project.
Yeah, it
But
would have gotten old real fast.
when I was working on that, I was like literally like all the time I was working on it. If I was like not working, I would go to like a cafe that had internet, and I would just like put on some Netflix, and I would rhinestone like literally in a Panera for several hours in between going to classes and stuff. And I would do it at home, I would do it in the morning, you know. So, but it
Panera,
wasn't
the new craft shop.
yeah, honestly, like Panera's great for crafts. You got your internet, you can get drinks and food
You get a
brought to your
table.
table. You don't even have to get up. You can literally just order it to your table, which is what I
Like,
did.
is that person living here now? I don't understand. That's awesome. Well, so that reminds me. So I guess my first question is rhinestoning different than bedazzling, or is it the same thing, just different names?
So, like, I feel like if you're bedazzling something, you're probably using a bedazzler tool. And
Okay.
like, it can be similar to like hot fix rhinestoning. I've actually not used a bedazzler, but like seeing it, it seems really similar to hot fix rhinestoning. Um, the hot fix stones have glue on the back already, like it's
Okay.
like hard glue, and then the wand heats up the glue, and it's what sticks it onto the piece.
Okay.
So they like heat glue on. But I am weird and I like setting them by hand. I don't know, but
We all have
uh,
our things, right?
we all have our stuff. I feel like I have more control that way. And I had a bad experience once where like the temperature that needed to melt the glue was like too hot for the fabric, and the fabric warped, and not a good time. So
No,
I just do it by hand now.
that's a good call. Yeah, it's always fun working with different kind of fabrics too, because you've gotten into sewing a lot over the last year or so, a couple of years probably by this point. You've done a lot of very intricate work on your dresses. Your gowns have been incredible to see. Anthe,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that character, but I saw that one, and you have had a very warm reception for that cosplay, and it has been incredible. And to kind of like, I'm kind of interested in how did from when you got started with sewing to how you got to where you're at now when it comes to like fabric selection, intricacy, stuff like that, because I've worked with a couple different kind of fabrics, and it can get a little daunting not entirely knowing what you're doing at first, but once you get into it, sewing is a ton of fun. I love sewing, and it's weird. Like, I know that like I've seen a couple like trending things going around since the quarantine, like men that sew, like sewing men is cool. Is like, well, I was sewing before the quarantine, so I must be like super cool, right?
There you go.
Like, yeah. So how did you get from starting out sewing to like where you're at now?
I'd say it was gradual and just a lot of trial and a lot of error. Like you know, you see Anthe, right? But you don't see all of the times I ripped the stitches out because they didn't work, or that I like, you know, the mock-ups that I did, or so on and so forth. Mock-ups, those are a thing. So when I started off, I really didn't do them at all, and I still don't do them all the time, but I do them a lot more often, and it's to avoid, you know, using something that's expensive and like messing it up and running out of fabric. I still have trouble estimating how much fabric I'm going to need for stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to like overestimate, and thus I have like a craft room full of fabric offcuts, which is great if I ever need to make another Tiana, because I have tons of
Right.
extra Tiana fabric over the years. But
I mean, you're
yeah,
at 3 now, why stop, right?
exactly. I mean, I'm just gonna keep going at this point.
And
But
honestly, Disney's ready to have a, Princess and the Frog sequel, in my
I I know that they're doing a Tiana series, I think they announced,
Oh,
which like there were like a bunch of like Disney announcements. It was when they announced like all of the Marvel stuff and all the Star Wars stuff that was coming out on Disney Plus, and then there was just like regular Disney Plus shows, and that was one of them. And I was like, "Woo, that's so exciting! I'm so
nice,
excited."
that is exciting.
But
Back to
yeah,
mock-ups, like,
yeah,
that is such an important thing that people need to learn how to have patience to do, right?
yeah.
Because I did a cosplay from the show The Seven Deadly Sins,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I did a gender bend version of Merlin, which
Okay.
is, are you familiar or do it?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the character a lot, and I have
Yeah,
some friends who cosplay Merlin, so like
yeah. So
that's like
very risque,
the
right? Yeah.
purple
Yep.
thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the purple coat or whatever. So I made an entire um prototype of that coat because I had to go buy purple pleather fabric, which was
Mm.
like $25 a yard, and I did
Ooh.
not want to like mess that up. So it is so important. If you are a sewer and you're watching this, it is okay to prototype, and like, and honestly, your end result turns out so much better for it too, because you've already done it once and you know some of the mistakes you might make, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, yeah, I can't stress it enough, honestly. And like, what I'll do these days is like, if it's a gown, for example, and I'm making something that like has components that I've done before. Like I have like a tried and true like circle skirt like gown like skirt pattern now that I just use as like a default, and then I adjust the length. And I have like a bodice pattern or like a quote unquote like corseted bodice pattern that like is just like my tried and true. I know it fits. I've used it before at this point, but like you have to develop those over time. And like it starts from like taking a shirt and putting it on some stuff and duct taping yourself and
Yeah.
cutting things up and sewing them wrong, and trial and error, honestly. With some of those other ones, like I was saying, like stretch fabrics, like I love those honestly because I think they're so much more forgiving than non-stretch, frankly. And I think that if like myself, like I'm a bit like curvier, it's just easier to get the fit you want with with stretch fabrics, I personally think, and they're more comfortable, you get more movement.
Right.
But the challenge, right, is in the others. And I feel like the last like couple projects I've done have been non-stretch, so it's been a good time.
Gotcha. Well, so I want to talk something you just brought out. So checking out your Instagram and a lot of the hashtags you use, you're a huge advocate for like curvy cosplay. That was one of the hashtags that you saw or that I saw from you, as well as Black Cosplay or cosplaying while black, and a lot of that stuff. People of color cosplays. What do you think the current state of Black cosplay is, and where would you like to see it go in the future?
Hmm. Yeah, so there's one aspect that is like my personal experience, and the other that's like the community's experience, right? So I think every black cosplayer can say that there's something that they've experienced that has been the result of racist behavior or mindsets within the community, which is really really sucky when you're already in a community of people who are you're hoping will be accepting, and then they're not. So there's the always the risk of hateful comments, even stuff that isn't maybe as overt, like just being excluded from things. I know in the last year, I think it was actually like right at the start of quarantine, I believe it was, there was like an event that went on, and like it had like at least like 13 or so judges, and none of them were Black, like not a single one. And the community hadn't even known it was going on. And it was not done out of malicious intent, but when asked, the folks running it were just like, honestly, we just didn't think of it. And, you know, how do we get that to become more of a default thing that people do, to reach out to people who don't look like them? And that's where I'd like to see things go. I'd like to see Black cosplayers being invited actively as guests, as judges, um, photographers like seeking them out. You know, it's always a thing trying to find a photographer, and you have to scroll the page. Like, how long does it take me to scroll before I find one Black model on your page? Or are there any? You know, do you know how to photograph Black skin and make it shine and glow? And you know, all of those things are factors that we have to deal with all the time. And it can be tiring, and a lot of people lose heart and they want to, you know, leave or stop what they're doing. And you know, you have to really center yourself within the why, in terms of why you do this. And like, that's really important. You have to have that drive, because it can be really discouraging sometimes. But on a personal note, like me personally, I've managed to surround myself with some awesome people who are really supportive, and I've had a pretty awesome time. Like, you know, like I said, everyone gets crappy comments, if especially Black cosplayers, but let them roll off you and keep going. And I've been able to just really just enjoy myself and have a good time. And like I said, going forward, I honestly just want to see people consider us more and invite us more and welcome us more, so that's truly a space where we can be celebrated, not just in February, but all the time.
I totally agree, because that's one of the parts of my mission for the makers market, is to interview a broad, diverse, culturally diverse group of people. And it's so interesting to hear you say about the photographer aspect of it, right? I have basically my first interviewee before Baker's Market was actually a thing was GC Kinsey, and I did a collaboration with them, and they consider themselves gender fluid. And every once in a while, I'll see them post something where it talks about, hey, like, you know, making a post about 4 photographers, things to keep in mind when photographing gender fluid, or, you know, like transgender people, cosplayers and stuff like that. And it's really cool to see people not only advocate for themselves in their community, but as well as helping give people advice that might not know or understand things that, you know, they hadn't considered before. And, you know, until you said photography, like, I wouldn't have known, you know, something like that is something, like, I'm not a photographer anyways, but, you know, I never considered, you know, like the complexion of people's skins, you know, the lighting might need to be different for whatever reasons. And so it's really cool to see and to hear advice from people when, you know, they're the people that know it, I guess, or have the best insight on those situations. And so it's really cool to hear that from you.
Thank you.
Let's move forward a little bit. This is something I do with all my interviewees. I call it this or that questions.
Okay.
And so I have a couple for you. And so my first one is, if you could only watch one ever again, would it be Adventure Time or Steven Universe?
Steven Universe.
Steven Universe? Oh, that was a fast answer. I was hoping I'd get you there. Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. I grew up with Adventure Time, and I love it, and it's dear to my heart. Steven Universe, why?
I love Adventure Time, don't get me wrong, but Steven Universe, like, the character of Garnet, like, I feel like, other than Tiana, is the other character I've done like multiple times. I got to meet the voice actress while in cosplay. Like, I love her. I love Steven Universe. I love its message. I love the music. I cannot stress how much I love the show. Like, I was like, you know, like here crying over the finale. Like, I couldn't. if I had to like never watch it again, I would be so upset because like I literally rewatch it once a year. So
So I'll be honest, I've watched a couple episodes of Steven Universe, and not that I didn't like it, I kind of forgot about it and didn't come back to it. And kind of going through your stuff, I kind of want to go and watch it, because if it's anything like Adventure Time, I know I'll love it. Because Adventure Time came out when I was like a sophomore in college, and I just remember watching it and loving it, and just kind of loving kind of the short episode stories. And Steven Universe is kind of similar, but there's a much longer plot to it, right?
yeah, I'd say like Adventure Time, right? Like the plots in the episodes are somewhat like disjointed and only sometimes they connect and like carry through and like sometimes they're out of order, right? Like but with Steven Universe, it's like you're right, there is a bigger plot, it does all connect. And the one of the things that's cool about the show, like when I started watching it, I mean, and I feel like this way with a lot of Cartoon Network shows that kind of like start off on one note and then they just kind of evolve over time. Like the first like handful of episodes or so, you watch it and you're like, okay, this feels like a kid's show, like, and like not in a bad way necessarily, but like it feels like it doesn't feel as like rich in its storytelling yet. But then you get like a couple of episodes in and like there's like stuff that happens and it gets really emotional all of a sudden and I'm just like, whoa, like what just happened? Like the tone of this just shifted. And then there's also like this like layer of like mystery in that like you can tell like as Steven and you like see a lot of things as Steven, like the audience does. Like he only knows so much about his situation and there's a lot more under the surface that he doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
And so as you like peel back the layers and uncover things, like for me, like that was what kept me watching, like
Gotcha.
honestly.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I do have one Steven Universe story to say.
Okay.
I was at a convention with a group of guys that I had just met, like the con before or something like that, and we did a group collaboration cosplay of characters from the Seven Deadly Sins. The day after, we were doing different stuff, and one guy came in the Steven Universe shirt with the star on the whatever, and he was walking through the where you buy stuff. There's people, give it a name.
Dealer's hall or
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he found somebody that did a laser cutting of like a shield, Steven Universe shield and a sword, and he bought it. And then he was just walking around with the T-shirt and the sword and the shield, and he's like, "Oh!" And people are like, "Oh my God, Steven for Steven!" He's like, "I didn't even try cosplay. I just showed up and it happened." So that's my only Steven Universe story, like in real life. So, but yeah, so that was kind of funny. Next one. What is your favorite Garnet cosplay?
oh, it's so hard. You know what? I'll have to say version 2 Garnet. I like her version 3 outfit too, like with the gold shades, but B2 I did the most and I just has a special place. Plus it's like easier to make, frankly. So
Well, I guess while we're talking about her cosplay, how long does it take you to do your eye?
so the like very first 2 times I ever did it, I literally painted it on, but then I made like a prosthetic, so I just have to like glue it on and like fix the edges each time with some
Yeah.
latex and then it's good. So honestly, the thing that takes the longest time is concealing my eyebrows and making the fro into a square because it's actually my hair, it's not a wig. So like I'm like trying to get it and I gotta like steam in the shower to get it to poof right and it's a good time. So like whenever we're at a con, I'm like, all right, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. to start my Garnet cosplay. So,
Because it's all hair work, right?
it's all
Yeah.
hair. It's all hair.
Do you end up getting it in a square, or do you just go with the normal fro?
Most of the time it starts off in a square, but like I have to like keep squaring it it will like go back into a circle. Like sometimes like gravity just like eventually will like take it back into a circle.
Like, do you use hairspray or what do you use it to make it square?
Well, honestly, I can just kind of shape it like with like a pick and my hands.
Yeah,
And then like if I just kind of I don't have to really set it. Like it just kind of stays like most of the time. But
yeah.
it depends on the weather and like humidity and stuff. Hair is a thing. But
Yeah, like, and especially when I like, for my hair, it's naturally curly, and right now it's kind of long, so that's why I'm wearing a hat. It's at the point where it doesn't look great. Like, it's not long enough to like put it back, and it's not short enough to do anything with. So that's why I'm wearing a hat. But like my hair is naturally curly, and so yeah, sometimes I too like to cosplay with my natural hair rather than wearing wigs if I can help it.
mhm.
I like, for example, Jean Arc from the show Ruby. Like, I'll try to use
Okay.
his natural hair similar to mine in those situations. And sometimes, like you're saying, like curly hair gets frizzy, and sometimes it's just unruly. Like it's hard to work with sometimes. So, but I give props to anybody that tries to do like natural hair versus wigs for their cosplays, because it's always cool because it's one more aspect of that character that you recognize with, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. All right, next one. Who's your favorite My Hero Academia character?
Oh. Oh, that's hard. Oh. Oh no. That's so hard. Because there's characters that I like to cosplay or just that I like.
Hmm. You know what? I'll let you off easy. You can do each one.
Okay, well, I do like to cosplay my girl Uravity, Uraraka. She's awesome. Um, as far as enjoying, like All Might, Deku, Todoroki, like I love those guys. They're great. I mean, like honestly, anybody except Mineta is honestly great. So I just
That's hilarious. All right, but I'm gonna be hard on you now.
okay.
Which one?
Which one? Only one.
You're
Oh,
on the
I
record.
gotta go
What
with
is
All
your
Might.
favorite one?
I'm gonna go with All Might.
Oh my.
Honestly,
All right.
like it is a toss up. It is a tie between those three, but I'll go with All Might because, like, I don't know. There's just he's like I'm an All Might fan, like Deku now. Like I feel like I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I love him so much. He's great, and
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I cosplay. I do a small might cosplay.
oh,
I'm not beefy enough to do jacked all might, but I am scrawny enough to do the weak, feeble, dying. I work
oh.
with what I have.
Hey, look, you can cosplay whatever you want, but if you're more comfortable cosplaying the other thing, that's all that matters.
I've actually wanted to. I have seen some people do like the bodysuit All Might, where they are bigger people and they're cosplaying in that, and I think you do have a Uravity suit like that too, correct?
I do, yeah. I have her hero outfit, and then I did her AU like wizard kind of
Fantasy
outfit.
one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
that one
liked
was really
that one.
fun.
That was good. So my idea is I want to get an oversized bodysuit of that. So
Oh,
like I go around a small might in his suit when he's like weak. Like
oh,
I thought that would be fun.
that would be great.
Yeah, like so my small might stuff is I bought like a 3XL pair of pants and like a 2XL, shirt. And so like I just walk around with baggy stuff on all the time. So all right, next question. All right, so you do some princess stuff, right?
Mhm.
But I'm gonna include like some of the cosplays that you do that wear crowns. So your Anthe,
Okay.
as well as you have a Bowsette, correct?
I have a Chompette. Yeah.
Chompette, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
What is your favorite princess to cosplay?
I gotta go with my girl Tiana. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
thought it
don't
might
get
be.
me wrong.
Yeah.
Anthea's wonderful character. She's from Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is like an older anime if you're not familiar with it, but gotta go with my girl Tiana. I mean, like, she's the princess I wish I had as a little girl. And I didn't get a chance to experience her when I was little, but I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of her as an adult. So
I don't blame you. I like there are so many cartoons, whether it's like older cartoon animation or newer CG animation. I like I just love cartoons and anime and stuff like that. So
me too.
it never really left me. Like my childhood kind of carried up with that. So, I have baggage from a kid too, but like that's the good stuff from it. So I don't I had a short this or that list for you. I don't have any others.
Huh.
Can I think of any off the top of my head?
Got any Dragon Prince ones since we're both like fans of the show?
Yes. All right. Favorite ship?
Oh, ship. Oh, Janaya, of course.
Janaya, General Maya. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love those two. It's so it's so great. So what area you're on the East Coast, you said?
Yeah.
What area of the East Coast are you, so if you're okay with sharing that?
Yeah, no, I'm in Central PA.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay,
I'm
gotcha.
not, I'm like in between like Philly and Harrisburg.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I've been wanting, like, I was on the East Coast, North Carolina.
Oh,
I'm in
okay.
Iowa now,
Okay.
and but I've been wanting to go to cons like Dragon Con or um, like I've always thought the New York or Emerald City. I guess those are two different ones, right? Um,
Yeah. You're New York Comic Con and Emerald City Comic Con. Where's Emerald City at? That's that's not East Coast, is it? Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought it was New York City is Emerald. Yeah, I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Is it? You're probably right. I've
Okay.
not been to Emerald City Comic Con. I was always under the impression it was like in like somewhere not on the East Coast, but
Gotcha. I'm under the impression that it's in New York City, but like for those of you watching, this is the first time CocoaSugar and I have like communicated. Usually, I actually do a pre-interview where I hang out with some people, but I found that that kind of ruins a lot of stories because people start telling me about things and then it's like, oh, we're not recording this and I really want to hear this. And so I decided to get rid of that because I want to hear these like good stories or like, just kind of things that people are sharing. Um, but I want to find some con in the future where you and I can team up and do Janai and General Maya,
yes.
because that would be
So
amazing. And the reason I'm shouting out to you is because like there's not enough Dragon Prince cosplay or fandom. There's a lot of fandom, I'm sure, but like not enough cosplayer. I think I've seen one, maybe two Rylas at cons.
yeah.
But other than that, I haven't seen anything, and it's kind of disappointing.
The most I saw were at CasaCon in 2019. I saw like maybe like 4 or 5, but I actually joined. There's a Facebook group for Dragon Prince cosplayers,
Ooh, okay.
and that is what told me that there was like a meetup happening. Of course, I didn't join until after CasaCon, and I was like, "Oh, there are others out here," and
Yeah.
I got really excited. But yeah, there is a Facebook group. It's not super active, but it exists. Um, yeah, I don't know like what's easier for you to get to. Probably New York. It's like a central hub for like transportation, probably. But
How
like
far is Chicago from you? Probably a ways.
a plane ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not close. Yeah, no, I'm also the type of person that like generally like if it is more than 3 hours, I'm not driving because I don't like long car trips.
Oh, really?
So
I
at,
love car trips. Oh,
oh, not if not if I'm driving. Okay, not like if I don't have to drive, then sure. But like if I'm the one who has to drive, no, not
count you
after
out.
3 hours. No, but I will like take public transportation like a train or like fly. I actually haven't flown for a con because I'm like terrified of my cosplays getting lost in
Yeah,
luggage.
I haven't
But
either.
I have like taken the train or a bus or like a charter bus or like a couple times to get to places, but I generally try to stick to like New York, PA, or like Virginia, DC, Baltimore, like those kind of things.
Yeah, in 2019, I wanted to go to Katsucon also. Is that in the fall or winter?
It is always Valentine's Day weekend in
Nice.
February.
Yeah,
Every time.
yeah.
It's the first year in many years I've been able to celebrate Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, good for you.
It was a plus.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe Katsucon. I Future Katsucon. That's one I've been wanting to go to for a long time. So we should make it happen after the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be.
God, 2022 happens. Like I was so sad when this year didn't happen, but of course I understand why. But like I really, really hope that Katsu does happen next year.
Me too.
So I'm down for it. Like seriously, like Katsu is one of my favorite cons, especially if you're, like you said, like just like into making things and
Right.
like seeing people's creations. Like it is like the showcase of like your cosplay like excellence. I feel like everyone brings their A game for
Right.
Katsu and you see amazing stuff. So
That's cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, I'm totally down with that. Future collaboration. Hopefully it happens, and hopefully sooner rather than later. I haven't started at all, but like I need to get. I'm looking forward to yours as soon as it comes out. It sounds like hopefully soon.
that one will probably be later in the summer,
Okay.
but like we'll just say this year. This year
Okay.
will be a thing because
Good.
it's like probably about 60% done at this point.
Awesome. Good. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Again, more people cosplay the Dragon Prince. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it's worth it. And there are 3 seasons out, I believe.
Yeah, and they're coming out with like several more, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. I saw that the other day. I was looking to see like when season 4 is going to come out. And then like in the article, it read like they have agreed for 6 more seasons or something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is the like best thing I've heard all year. It's been a short year, but so far the best. So yeah,
Honestly.
pretty incredible. Well, CocoaSugar, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube now, all at CocoaSugar Cosplay, COCOA, Sugar Cosplay, all together. Most active on Instagram. That's where I post to my stories like progress that I'm doing. But I also cross post to Facebook when I have actual posts. So if you're following Facebook, you can still see my posts. You just might not get my stories. But yeah.
Are we expecting more YouTube from you soon?
Yes, you keep an eye on it in the next week and you'll see a post come through. And then this year I launched it like in December last year, and then I promptly overextended myself in January. So we're gonna be trying to do at least monthly YouTube videos going forward. So
That's a good way to start. Awesome, very good. And if you are new to my channel is Oakley Does Everything. I'd love it if you subscribed, and it's also the same thing on Instagram. And those are my 2 primary things. I do have a TikTok. It's also Oakley Does Everything. It's pretty much the same thing as my Instagram stuff. I just add music. So whatever your preference is, you can find me at either of those. Yeah, so YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all Oakley Does Everything. And yeah, so CocoaSugar, thank you so much for joining me. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've had a blast. So yeah, hopefully hopefully we can get that collaboration going in the future and meet in person sooner rather than later. So that would be awesome.
Yes.
So. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you all so much. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. It's right there in the middle of your screen. If you want to see other Makers Market videos, I got a playlist ready for you to go up top. But other than that, we'll see everybody on the next video. Have a great day. Bye. And that's it.
Thank you so much. This was really fun. I appreciate all of this.